grab it with your hands. Nothing's out of reach. If you really want something, if you need it, you can grab it with your hands. Nothing's out of reach. If you really want something.
Hello all you wonderful people out there. Welcome to Jamaican Experience. My name is Gabi and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my childhood. So it's something totally new. Remember to subscribe, like, share and comment below. Remember that. So let's just start with the start. I was born 1963 in Hamburg, Germany, which is in the northern part of Germany, close to the ocean, and it's a very beautiful town. My mom's family and my mom, she came from Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, which is nearby to Berlin, sort of. It was the former East German part, but it's not anymore, of course. And my father, I believe he came from Breslau, I think. I'm not even quite sure. I don't really know much about my father. My father, he used to work on ships all the time, as long as I can remember. And he used to work as a steward, and he wasn't home very much, so I don't really have much recollection of him. My mom, she left home when she was like 14 years old, from what I was told. And she worked in Hamburg, but she come and go, so she went to Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, lived with the family, and then during the week she worked in Hamburg. I mean, 14 years back then was quite normal. You would leave home and stuff like nowadays maybe sound a little bit weird, but I guess back then it was quite normal. I remember my aunt, she used to tell me that my mom was very fashionable. Remember in the 60s you wear the big petticoats and the shoes very spitz in the front leg, you know, very narrow and very uncomfortable too, because my mom, boy, she had big feet. She had 42 for a woman in those days, or even now it's quite big. Even so, now you can buy shoes and you find a lot of choice. Back then there wasn't much choice, so her shoes always were too small, which later you could tell because her toes were just shaped like those shoes back then. I still remember that. And she was very proud. She was the first woman, or one of the first women in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern who had a tractor's license. It seemed to be something special back then, and she was so proud of it. I still have that license. I keep it dear to my heart, so I still have it, and I will keep it until my life ends. That's for sure. Later we moved to Dortmund, which I don't remember. I only know that from people telling me, right? And then later on we moved to the Schwäbische Alb, or Swabian Alb, and we lived in Evingen. That's where I started having some memories from my childhood, and it was quite nice. In the beginning everything was cool and nice and comfortable, and I really did feel safe. My granny, she was a wonderful person, really. She was very calm, loving, outgoing, and I really loved her dearly. Unfortunately, she died much too early when she only was 60 years old. Her second husband, my grandfather, I didn't like him at all. He was such a miserable person. I mean, all I remember, he was sitting on his settee there, smoking like a lot. And I was making the sound with his feet, it was driving me crazy. I didn't like him. So most of the time we stayed out of his way. She went to the playground, and she was really very patient. She would do some knitting. She loved to do knitting and do pullovers and all kind of nice things. And I would play. I remember that. And she also, my earliest memories of being a Jehovah's Witness, they took me to church at least 2 times a week, probably 3 times, I don't remember. I remember on Thursdays we used to go to that other family and they had Bible studies, and all I can remember that I mostly slept there because I was so small. My earliest memory from church was when I asked my granny how long will it take until my feet can touch the ground? So you can imagine how I was pretty small, right? And yeah, that I remember. And Fridays and Sundays, I believe we went to church. So I mean, my entire family from the mother's side was Jehovah's Witness, from what I gather. Like, so I guess it was just a thing. But that's a totally different story. For my father, like I said, I don't remember really much, except one time he came for a visit. I mean, obviously, I suppose he came more often than the one time, but I especially remember that one time when he brought this Mexican kind of wooden doll with strings, so you could play with it, like, even so I wasn't supposed to play with it, because it could get destroyed, mush up, like, so that was really, I find that really pretty sad. But it was a Mexican doll that I remember. Yeah, so I lived with my granny, and I remember I had those two lovely neighbors. There was my bedroom, and right at the wall there was the next flat, and that's where they had their bedroom, like. So every morning I was knocking on the wall and see if they are awake already, and I still remember that I went over there a lot. They had this beautiful big drawer where they had chocolate inside and all kind of sweeties, things kids just love. But I always was like, I only took one thing, even though I felt like I could take the entire drawer and just eat off everything one time also, but I only always take one thing. Sometimes I went shopping for them and did small chores, like, but I really did love them. And back then, in those days, those two people weren't even married. Whoa, that was quite something, because but that was a big thing in those days, in the 60s. Yeah, I remember that. I had a small turtle, Paulchen. Paulchen, he used to live there too, obviously. And I remember I always tied a big string on his one foot. I believe it was one of the front feet, like. And I let him down the balcony, because my granny, she was living in a 2-bedroom flat with bathroom was quite narrow, and I remember there was a toilet inside. I don't remember a shower or basin or anything else. Yeah, and well, so I let down Paulchen so he could get some grass, because there was a nice area where they had grass, and in front of the balcony there were a lot of little pieces of land which belonged to the families who used to live there. So there we grow some stuff like beans and strawberries and stuff like that, which was really nice. And then one day my aunt, she had a baby, and of course it was my mother's sister, right? And then my granny had to take care of 2 children, which was me and then the small baby, which went well in the beginning, but later on I guess it was just too much for her and she couldn't manage. So unfortunate me, I had to go to my mom. Not that I didn't love my mom, also I saw her on weekends all the time, like, also, but boy, it was so weird, because my mom, she worked in the day, she worked in a factory, and she wouldn't really have much time for me. So, but I had to move and live with my mom. So next time I will tell you about that, and you will learn more about it. So let me know if you like the story, if you would like to know more about it, about my childhood. It will get a lot more interesting, you might say. And take care of yourself. Remember to subscribe, like, share and comment below. Peace.